6 months after my wife left me for my brother, they came back to my door begging for help. My brother had bruises under his eyes. My wife was crying so hard she could barely stand. And my parents were behind them, looking at me like I was the only person left who could fix the disaster they had created. But before I tell you what they wanted from me, you need to understand what happened 6 months earlier. Because 6 months ago, I still believed I had a family. I still believed my wife loved me. And I still believed my brother was just selfish. Not dangerous. Not cruel. Not the kind of man who would look me in the eye while stealing my life. My name is Daniel. I was 34 years old when my marriage ended. My wife's name was Claire. We had been married for 7 years. Not perfect years. But good ones. At least, I thought they were good. We had a small house outside Columbus. 2 cars. A dog named Ranger. A mortgage we were paying down slowly. And a life that looked normal from the outside. I worked as a project manager for a construction company. Claire worked part-time at a dental office. My younger brother, Marcus, was the family problem. Everyone knew it. Everyone denied it. Marcus was 31, charming, irresponsible, and allergic to consequences. He borrowed money and forgot to pay it back. He lost jobs and blamed bad managers. He crashed my father's truck and somehow made my father apologize for getting angry. That was Marcus. Always the victim. Always misunderstood. Always one more chance away from becoming a better man. And my parents believed him every time. My mother used to say, Marcus just needs support. My father used to say, he'll grow out of it. I used to believe them. Then I stopped. 3 years before everything happened, Marcus moved back into my parents' house after losing another apartment. He said rent was too high. Then he said his boss hated him. Then he said his girlfriend had drained his savings. There was always a story. Always someone else's fault. Claire felt sorry for him. At first, I thought that was kindness. She would bring him leftovers. She would text him job openings. She would tell me not to be so hard on him. He's your brother, she said. I should have paid attention to how often she said that. He's your brother. As if that explained everything. As if blood was a lifetime contract to tolerate betrayal. The first sign came on a Friday night. I had come home late from work. Claire was on the couch, smiling at her phone. Not laughing. Not scrolling. Smiling. That quiet smile people have when they're trying not to look too happy. I asked who she was texting. She locked the screen too fast. Then she said, your mom. I believed her. Stupid. I know. The second sign came 2 weeks later. Marcus started showing up at our house when I wasn't home. Claire said he was helping with little repairs. A leaky faucet. A loose cabinet hinge. The garage light. Funny thing. None of those things ever seemed fixed. But Marcus kept coming over. And Claire kept saying I was paranoid. Then came the third sign. My dog hated Marcus. Ranger was friendly with everyone. Kids. Neighbors. Delivery drivers. But whenever Marcus walked in, Ranger would growl. Low. Quiet. Like he knew something I didn't. I should have trusted the dog. I didn't. The day everything broke was a Thursday. Cold morning. Gray sky. One of those days where everything feels heavy before anything happens. I had a site meeting scheduled 2 hours away. At least, I was supposed to. Halfway there, my boss called and said the client had canceled. No warning, no reschedule. Just canceled. So I turned around. I thought about calling Claire. Then I thought, no. I'll surprise her. Maybe we could grab lunch. Maybe I'd take the afternoon off. Maybe we'd just sit together like we used to. I stopped at a bakery and bought her favorite lemon cake. I still remember holding that little white box in my hand when I opened my front door. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Ranger wasn't at the door. That was strange. He always came running. I set my keys down. Called Claire's name. No answer. Then I heard something from upstairs. A laugh. A man's laugh. Not loud. Not hidden enough. I walked up the stairs. Slowly. Every step felt wrong. The bedroom door was half open. And inside my bedroom, in my bed, was my wife. With my brother. Not sitting. Not talking. Not a misunderstanding. My wife. My brother. In my bed. Claire gasped when she saw me. Marcus didn't. That was the part I never forgot. Claire looked shocked. Marcus looked annoyed. Like I had interrupted him. Like I was the problem. I stood there holding that box of lemon cake. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't come out. I just stared. Claire grabbed the sheet. Daniel, she said, that was it. Just my name. Like saying it could undo what I was seeing. Marcus sat up and said, this isn't what it looks like. I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because that sentence should be illegal. I looked at him. Then at her. Then at the bed. Our bed. The same bed I had assembled with my own hands when we moved in. The same bed she cried in when her grandmother died. The same bed where she had promised me we would start trying for kids next year. I didn't yell, I didn't hit him, I didn't ask why. I turned around. Walked downstairs. Grabbed my laptop bag. Grabbed my work folder. Then I picked up Ranger's leash. He was locked in the laundry room. Locked in there while my wife slept with my brother upstairs. He ran to me when I opened the door, shaking. I put him in the truck. Claire came outside barefoot, wrapped in a robe. Please. Just talk to me. I closed the truck door. She grabbed the handle. Daniel, please. I looked at her through the window. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt nothing. Not love. Not hate. Nothing. I drove away. I checked into a hotel 20 minutes from work. Ranger slept on the floor beside the bed. I sat on the edge of the mattress until sunrise. My phone rang 63 times that night. Claire. Marcus. My mother. My father. Claire again. Then my mother again. I didn't answer. The next morning, I went to the bank, opened a new account. Moved my paycheck deposit, canceled the shared credit card, called a lawyer. Not dramatic. Not emotional. Just steps. One after another. By noon, Claire had sent 47 texts. Please come home. I made a mistake. I love you. Marcus manipulated me. It only happened once. I don't know what came over me. I never stopped loving you. I read every message. Saved every message. Answered none. Then my mother called from a new number. I answered because I thought maybe she was hurt. That was my mistake. Daniel, she said, you need to calm down. Not. Are you okay? Not. I'm sorry. Not. What Marcus did was unforgivable. You need to calm down. I said nothing. She sighed. Your brother is devastated. I closed my eyes. My brother? He says you won't speak to him. I almost laughed. He slept with my wife. I know, she said. And that was wrong. But you walking out like this is tearing the family apart. There it was. The first warning. The first crack in whatever loyalty I thought I had. I said, he tore the family apart. My mother lowered her voice. Daniel, marriages survive things. People make mistakes. Not with my brother. He's family. So was I. Silence. Then she said something I will remember for the rest of my life. You've always been stronger than him. We expected you to handle this better. That sentence did more damage than the affair. Because I finally understood. They didn't think Marcus was innocent. They just thought I was easier to sacrifice. I hung up. Then I blocked her. My father called next. I blocked him too. For 2 days, I stayed at the hotel. I worked. I walked Ranger. I spoke to my lawyer. On the 3rd day, I went back to the house with 2 police officers to collect my things. Claire cried the entire time. Marcus was not there. Of course he wasn't. Cowards never show up for cleanup. I packed clothes. Documents. My tools. My grandfather's watch. The framed photo of Ranger as a puppy. Claire followed me from room to room. I made a terrible mistake. I folded shirts into a suitcase. I was lonely. I packed my passport. You were working too much. I took my birth certificate from the safe. He listened to me. That made me stop. I turned around. She was standing by the bedroom door. Small. Pale. Acting broken. I said, then let him listen to you now. She cried harder. I left. 2 weeks later, she moved in with Marcus at my parents' house. Yes, my wife. And my brother. Under my parents' roof. My mother called it temporary. My father called it complicated. My sisters called it unfortunate. I called it exactly what it was. A choice. They chose him. Then they chose her. Then they expected me to stay quiet so everyone else could feel comfortable. Christmas came 3 weeks after I found them. My mother sent an email. Subject line, family dinner. No apology, no shame, just logistics. Dinner at 6. Bring something if you want. We should all talk. I stared at that email for a long time. Then I went. Not because I wanted reconciliation. Because I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to know if they were really that far gone. They were. Marcus was sitting in my old chair. Claire was beside him. My mother was in the kitchen acting busy. My father was pouring drinks. My sisters hugged me like nothing had happened. Like I was late for dinner, not walking into my own humiliation. Claire stood when she saw me. Her eyes filled with tears. Marcus stayed seated. Of course. Dinner lasted 32 minutes. I counted. At minute 12, my mother said, I think we should all agree that nobody wanted this. I looked at Marcus. He was chewing roast beef. At minute 18, my father said, the important thing is that we don't lose each other. At minute 24, my older sister said, Daniel, you have to admit, you've been emotionally distant for years. I put my fork down. Claire looked at her plate. Marcus looked at me. Not ashamed. Smug. At minute 32, my mother touched my hand and said, "Maybe this happened for a reason." I stood up. No one moved. I said, "You're right." My mother looked relieved. I looked at Marcus. "Now I know exactly who all of you are." My father said, "Sit down." I didn't. Claire whispered, "Daniel, please." I looked at her. Then at my parents. Then at my sisters. "You can have each other." I walked out. No slam door. No speech. Just gone. That night, I blocked every number. Filed for divorce. Put the house on the market through my lawyer. Changed my locks at the apartment I rented. Changed my emergency contacts. Changed my life. The first month was ugly. I won't pretend it wasn't. I barely slept. I lost 15 pounds. Ranger and I ate a lot of takeout. I worked too much. I drank too much coffee. I stared at walls. But I did not call them. Not once. Month 2 was quieter. The divorce moved forward. Claire tried to delay it. Then she tried to cry through her lawyer. Then she tried to claim I was abandoning her financially. That didn't work. We had no children. Both of us worked. And she had chosen to move in with the man she cheated with. My lawyer enjoyed writing that sentence. Month 3, the house sold. I took my half. Paid my debts. Put the rest away. Month 4, I started sleeping again. Month 5, I bought a used truck. Month 6, I was almost okay. Not healed. Not happy. But steady. I had a routine. Work. Gym. Dog park. Dinner. Sleep. No family drama. No wife lying beside me. No brother borrowing money. No mother telling me to be the bigger person. Just peace. Then, on a rainy Tuesday night, someone knocked on my apartment door. Ranger growled before I even stood up. That told me enough. I checked the people. Claire. Behind her stood Marcus. Behind him, my parents. All 4 of them. Soaked from the rain, standing outside my door like ghosts from a life I had buried. I didn't open it right away. I watched them. Claire was crying. Marcus looked thin. My father looked older. My mother had her hands clasped like she was praying. Claire knocked again. "Daniel. Please. We know you're home." I opened the door. Just enough. Ranger stood behind my leg, growling. Claire looked at him and flinched. "Good. What do you want?" I asked. My mother started crying immediately. "Can we come in?" "No." My father said, "Son. Please. This is serious. You have 2 minutes." Marcus looked away. Claire wiped her face. "We need help." I waited. She swallowed. "It's Marcus." I looked at him. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. "What about him?" My father stepped forward. "He's in trouble." I almost closed the door. My mother reached out. "Please. Just listen." So I listened. Not because I cared. Because I wanted to hear how low they had fallen. Marcus had lost his job. Then he lost another one. Then he borrowed money. Not from a bank. Not from friends. From the wrong people. He had been gambling. Sports betting. Online loans. Cash advances. Anything he could touch. He had used my parents' credit cards. Then he had taken out a loan using my father's information. Then, apparently, he had convinced Claire to co-sign something. Then that something became many things. And now they owed almost $70,000. Due immediately. Or close enough to immediately that they were standing at my door in the rain. I looked at Claire. "You left me for that?" Her face crumpled. Marcus snapped, "You don't have to be cruel." I smiled. Small. Cold. "No. I don't have to be anything." My father said, "We're not asking you to forgive him tonight." "Good. We're asking you to help keep him safe." I stared at him. Then at my mother. Then at Claire. "You want money?" Nobody answered. That was the answer. Claire whispered, "Just a loan." I laughed. Actually laughed. After 6 months of silence, after everything, this was why they came. Not guilt. Not apology. Not truth. Money. How much? My mother looked down. My father said, 40,000 would buy us time. Us? He blinked. Yes. The family. I opened the door a little wider. Just so they could all hear me clearly. There is no family. My mother sobbed. Claire said, "Daniel, please. I know I hurt you." "No," I said. "You betrayed me." She nodded quickly. "Yes. I betrayed you. I know that now." "Now?" She looked confused. "What?" "You know that now because he ruined your life too." She went silent. Marcus finally looked at me. His eyes were red, angry, desperate. "You always thought you were better than me." I leaned against the doorframe. "No, I just made better choices." He stepped forward. Ranger barked. Marcus stepped back. Smartest thing he had done in years. My father raised his hands. "Everyone calm down. I looked at him. That's what you said at Christmas. He looked away. You told me to calm down while he sat at your table with my wife. My mother whispered. We made mistakes. You made choices. Claire cried harder. I wanted to call you so many times. But you didn't. I was ashamed. No. You were comfortable. That hit her. I saw it. The sad mask slipped. For half a second, anger flashed across her face. There she was. The real Claire. Then she recovered. You don't understand what it's been like. I looked at Marcus. Actually, I think I do. My father pulled an envelope from his coat. Documents. Of course. There are always documents when desperate people find your door. He held it out. These are the loan papers. We're not lying. I didn't take them. I never said you were lying about being broke. Marcus muttered. Unbelievable. I looked at him. You slept with my wife. Moved into my parents' house with her. Let them blame me. Burned through their money. Buried her in debt. And now you're standing at my door calling me unbelievable? His jaw tightened. Claire put a hand on his arm. That made me smile again. Still protecting him. Still choosing him. Even when he dragged her into the mud. My mother said, Daniel, we know you have money from the house. There it was. The real reason. I nodded. So that's why you came. My father said. It's not like that. It is exactly like that. We are desperate. So was I. Silence. When I walked into my bedroom and saw them together, I was desperate. When I came to Christmas dinner and watched all of you defend him, I was desperate. When I signed divorce papers alone, I was desperate. I looked at each of them. You weren't there. My mother said. We didn't know how to handle it. No, you knew. You just didn't want to handle Marcus. Marcus snapped. You think this is easy for me? I stared at him. Then I said. Good. He stepped forward again. My father grabbed his arm. Marcus. I almost wished he would try. Not because I wanted a fight, because my doorbell camera was recording everything. And unlike 6 months ago, I was ready. I pointed up. They all looked. Small black camera. Red light. Recording. Claire's face changed first. Then my father's. Then Marcus's. I said, everything you've said tonight is saved. My mother whispered, why would you do that? Because I learned from all of you. I closed the door. Not fully. Just enough to make the point. You have your answer. Claire put her hand against the door. Daniel, wait. No, please. I have nowhere else to go. That made me pause. I looked at her through the gap. What happened to my brother being your future? Her face twisted. He's not who I thought he was. I nodded. That makes 2 of us. Then I closed the door. Locked it. They stood outside for another 5 minutes. My mother cried. My father knocked twice. Claire begged. Marcus cursed. Then they left. I made tea. Fed Ranger. Sat at my kitchen table. And opened my laptop. Because something about the way my father held that envelope bothered me. Not the debt. Not the begging. Something else. He looked scared. Not embarrassed. Scared. So I started digging. I searched public court records. Marcus's name. Claire's name. My parents' names. At first. Nothing unusual. Small claims. Traffic tickets. Old debts. Then I found it. A civil filing from 3 weeks earlier. A lender. Marcus as défendant. Claire as co-défendant. And one more name. Mine. My full legal name. I stared at the screen. Read it twice. Then a third time. There was a loan document attached. $48,000. Signature page. My signature. Except it wasn't mine. It was a bad copy. Close enough for someone who had seen it on old paperwork. Not close enough for me. Marcus had forged my name. Or Claire had. Or both. My stomach went cold. Not angry. Cold. This was no longer family drama. This was fraud. I downloaded everything. Saved copies. Cloud. External drive. Email to my lawyer. Then I pulled my old divorce folder from the cabinet. Bank records. House sale documents. Emails. Texts. Screenshots. The Christmas email. The messages from Claire after the affair. Everything. I built a timeline. Not emotional. Not dramatic. Clean. Date. Event. Evidence. At 1:12 a.m. I emailed my lawyer. Subject. Possible identity fraud. He called me at 7:04 the next morning. His first words were, do not contact them. I said, wasn't planning to. He said, good. We're going to make this very uncomfortable for them. I liked that sentence. By noon, we had filed a fraud report. By 3, my credit was frozen. By 5, the lender had been notified that the signature was disputed. By the next morning, Marcus called from an unknown number. I didn't answer. Then Claire called. Then my father. Then my mother. I didn't answer any of them. At 10:30, my lawyer forwarded me an email from the lender. They were opening an investigation. At 11:15, Marcus sent a text. "You're going to destroy me over a signature?" I stared at it. A signature. Like he had borrowed a pen. Like stealing my identity was a small misunderstanding. I replied once, through my lawyer, "Do not contact me again." Then I blocked the number. That afternoon, my mother showed up at my office. Reception called me. "There's a woman here saying she's your mother." I closed my eyes. "Tell her I'm unavailable. She says it's an emergency. Tell her to leave." 5 minutes later, security escorted her out. I watched from the second-floor window. She stood in the parking lot crying into her phone. 6 months earlier, that would have broken me. Now, I felt tired. That was all. The investigation moved fast. Faster than I expected. The lender had copies of emails, application records, IP addresses, uploaded ID documents. And that was when the second surprise hit. The forged signature was not the worst part. They had used an old scan of my driver's license. A scan that had been stored in Claire's email from when we refinanced the house. Claire had access. Marcus did not. Unless she gave it to him. My lawyer called it conspiracy. I called it exactly what it was. They had tried to drag me back into their mess before they ever knocked on my door. The begging was not the first plan. It was the backup plan. The first plan was to make me responsible without asking. That night, I sat at my table with Ranger asleep at my feet. I opened a blank document. Column 1. What happened? Column 2. Who knew? Column 3. What proof exists? Then I started building the file. Page 1. Affair timeline. Page 2. Christmas dinner summary. Page 3. Divorce records. Page 4. Doorbell camera transcript. Page 5. Loan application. Page 6. Forged signature. Page 7. Driver's license upload. Page 8. Lawyer's fraud notice. No insults. No rage. No dramatic language. Just facts. Facts are cleaner than revenge. And much harder to deny. I sent the file to my lawyer. Then I waited. 3 days later, my father called from a number I didn't recognize. This time, I answered. Not because I wanted to, because my lawyer had told me to keep records. The call was recording. "Daniel," he said. His voice was rough. "What? Your lawyer contacted the lender." "Yes." "You reported Marcus." "Yes." "He could go to jail." "Then he should have thought about that before committing fraud." My father exhaled. "Please don't say it like that." "Like what?" "Like he's some criminal." I looked out the window. "He is." Silence. Then my father said, "Claire says she didn't understand what she was signing." I almost laughed. "She uploaded my license. She says Marcus told her you had agreed." "Did she call me?" "No." "Did she email me?" "No." "Did she ask my lawyer?" "No." "Then she knew." My father said nothing. I asked, "Did you know?" Silence. That was enough. I closed my eyes. "You knew." He whispered. "Not at first." There it was. Not at first. The family motto. We didn't know at first. We didn't mean to. We were trying to help. It got out of hand. I said, "When did you know?" He didn't answer. "When? Dad?" He swallowed. "After the approval." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "And you still came to my apartment asking me for money." "We were trying to fix it before it became worse." "No. You were trying to make me pay before I found out." His voice cracked. "Your mother is sick over this. She should be." "Daniel." "No. You don't get to say my name like you're disappointed in me. You raised him. You protected him. You excused him. Then you helped him try to steal from me." "I didn't help. You stayed silent." "That's not the same. It is when the victim is your son." Silence. Long. Heavy. Then he said, "What do you want?" I answered without thinking. "Nothing." He sounded confused. "What?" "I don't want money from you. I don't want apologies. I don't want explanations. I want the truth in writing. I want Marcus and Claire held responsible. I want my name removed from every document. And I want all of you out of my life." "You can't mean that." "I meant it 6 months ago. You just didn't believe me." He started crying. My father. The man who never cried. Not when his mother died. Not when he lost his job. Not when I caught his favorite son sleeping with my wife. But now, when consequences reached his doorstep, he cried. I felt nothing. That scared me a little, but not enough to stop. The next week was chaos. For them, not for me. Marcus was fired from his new job after wage garnishment paperwork arrived. Claire was suspended from the dental office after the fraud investigation contacted her employer for verification. My parents took out a second mortgage to keep from losing their house. My sisters started calling. First angry. Then scared. Then apologetic. I didn't answer. My older sister sent an email. I know we handled Christmas badly. But this is too far. You're destroying mom and dad. I forwarded it to my lawyer. My younger sister sent a voicemail. I listened to the first 10 seconds. You always act like you're perfect. Deleted. Blocked. Then came the family group chat. I had left it months earlier, but my cousin sent screenshots. Marcus was telling everyone I was lying. Claire was saying I had been emotionally abusive. My mother was saying I was punishing the whole family. My father was silent. That silence told me he knew they were lying. And still, he let it happen. So I made one final decision. Not revenge. Disclosure. There's a difference. Revenge is emotional. Disclosure is surgical. I wrote one email. To the lender. To my lawyer. To every family member who had involved themselves. Attached was the file. The timeline. The forged signature. The doorbell transcript. The fraud notice. The public court record. The email from my father admitting he knew after approval. Subject line. For documentation purposes. The body was 4 sentences. 6 months ago, I ended contact with this family after my wife, Claire, began a relationship with my brother, Marcus. Recently, Marcus and Claire attempted to involve me in a loan using a forged signature and my personal identification without consent. The attached documents are provided only to correct false claims currently being circulated. Do not contact me unless through legal counsel. I hovered over send. Only for a second. Then I clicked. The read receipts started within minutes. My cousin first. Then my aunt. Then both sisters. Then my mother. Then Claire. Then Marcus. My phone exploded. I turned it face down. Made dinner. Fed Ranger. Watched a baseball game. At 8:40 p.m., my cousin texted from a number I hadn't blocked. Holy hell. I'm sorry. We didn't know. I didn't respond. At 9:05, my older sister emailed again. Did dad really know? I didn't respond. At 9:18, my mother called 16 times. At 9:31, Claire sent one message. You ruined my life. I looked at it for a long time. Then I typed. No. I returned it. Block. Marcus didn't text until midnight. 3 words. You're dead to me. I almost smiled. Then I blocked him too. By morning, everything had collapsed. Claire had moved out of my parents' house. Marcus had disappeared for 2 days. My mother was telling relatives she was having chest pains. My father finally admitted to my sisters that he knew about the loan before they came to my door. That broke them. Not the affair. Not Christmas. Not the begging. The loan, because now it could touch them too. Funny how morality wakes up when liability enters the room. 2 weeks later, I got a letter from the lender. My name had been removed from the account. The fraud claim was accepted. Marcus and Claire remained responsible. Possible criminal referral pending. My lawyer said, that's about as clean as it gets. I thanked him, then I asked him to send one more letter. Cease and desist. To all of them. My parents. Marcus. Claire. My sisters. No calls. No visits. No workplace contact. No third-party messages. Any further contact would be documented as harassment. He sent it on a Thursday. Friday was quiet. Saturday was quiet. Sunday morning, my father came anyway. He stood outside my apartment building holding an envelope. I saw him from the parking lot as I came back from walking Ranger. He looked smaller than I remembered. Older. His shoulders were bent. His face was gray. For 1 second, I saw the man who taught me to ride a bike. The man who clapped when I graduated. The man I used to call when my car made weird noises. Then I remembered Christmas. I remembered my bedroom. I remembered the loan. He said, please. 5 minutes. I kept walking. Daniel. Ranger growled. I stopped 10 feet away. You're violating a legal notice. He held up the envelope. It's a letter. From your mother. Send it to my lawyer. She just wants you to know she loves you. I looked at him. No. She doesn't. His face changed. She loves the version of me that absorbs damage quietly. She loves the son who fixes things. Pays for things. Forgives things. But me? The man standing here? The one who says no? She doesn't know him. He lowered the envelope. I failed you. I didn't answer. His eyes filled. I know that now. I wanted that to matter. I really did. But timing matters. An apology after exposure is not the same as remorse. It is cleanup. I said, you didn't fail me once. You failed me every time it became inconvenient to protect me. He nodded. Slowly. Like the words hurt. Good. They're going to charge Marcus, he whispered. Maybe. Claire too. Maybe. He won't survive this. I stared at him. He survived being protected his entire life. Let's see how he handles being accountable. My father looked down. What about us? There is no us. Are you really going to walk away from your own parents? I stepped closer. No, you walked away from me at Christmas. I'm just not following you anymore. He cried then. Quietly. No dramatic sobbing. Just tears. I walked past him. He didn't stop me. That night, I made another decision. I couldn't stay there. Not because I was afraid. Because I was tired of living near ghosts. The grocery store where Claire and I used to shop. The park where Marcus and I played basketball as kids. The street to my parents' house. The courthouse. The old neighborhood. Everything had a memory attached to it. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life stepping around them. 2 months earlier, my company had offered me a transfer to Raleigh. Bigger role. Better pay. New office. I had ignored it. That night, I opened the email. Read it again. Then I replied. I'm interested in the Raleigh position if it's still available. The answer came the next morning. It was. 3 weeks later, I packed my apartment. Not much. Clothes, tools, documents, Ranger's bed, a few books. The old life was already gone. This was just the physical version. I donated the rest. Furniture. Dishes. Wedding gifts I had kept in a box without knowing why. Gone. On my last night, I sat on the floor eating pizza from the box. Ranger slept beside me. The apartment echoed. No sadness. No nostalgia. Just space. The next morning, I loaded the truck before sunrise. As I was locking the door, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I answered. Claire. Her voice was hoarse. Daniel. I said nothing. I heard you're leaving. Still nothing. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I looked at the empty apartment. No. You didn't. She cried softly. I am. You're sorry Marcus ruined you too. That's not fair. I smiled. People who destroyed your life love talking about fairness. You left me for my brother. She sobbed. I know. You moved into my parents' house with him. I know. You helped use my identity for a loan. I didn't understand. I cut her off. Don't. Silence. Then she whispered. I miss who we were. I looked at Ranger. Then at the keys in my hand. We were never who I thought we were. She breathed in sharply. I loved you. No. You loved being loved by me. That ended it. She had no answer. I said. Do not call again. Then I hung up. Blocked the number. Dropped the keys in the landlord's mailbox. Got in my truck. And drove. Raleigh was 8 hours away. I drove through rain for the first 3. Then the sky cleared. Somewhere near the state line, Ranger lifted his head from the passenger seat and looked at me. I laughed. For the first time in months, really laughed. Not because everything was fixed. Because nothing needed fixing anymore. The new job was hard. Good hard. Long days. New systems. New people. No one knew my history. No one asked why I moved. I was just Daniel. The guy with the dog. The guy who showed up early. The guy who kept his word. That was enough. I rented a small house with a fenced yard. Ranger loved it. I bought a new bed. New couch. New dishes. Nothing from the marriage. Nothing from my parents. Nothing Marcus had ever touched. 3 months after the move, my lawyer called. Marcus had taken a plea deal. Probation. Restitution. Mandatory counseling. Claire got a separate agreement. Restitution too. No jail. Not unless they violated terms. My parents were selling their house. Too much debt. Too many loans. Too many years spent rescuing the wrong son. I thanked my lawyer and hung up. Then I went outside. Ranger was chasing leaves in the yard. I stood on the porch watching him. I expected to feel satisfaction. I didn't. I expected to feel grief. I didn't feel that either. What I felt was distance. Like those people belonged to a story I had read a long time ago. A sad story. A stupid story. But not my life anymore. 6 months after Raleigh, I met someone. Her Name was Natalie. She was a veterinarian. Ranger loved her immediately. That mattered. We moved slowly. Coffee. Walks. Dinner. No rushing. No promises too early. One night. She asked about my family. I told her the short version. Wife cheated with brother. Family chose him. They tried to use my name for debt. I left. She listened without interrupting. Then she said, that must have hurt. I nodded. It did. Do you miss them? I thought about it. Really thought about it. My mother's kitchen. My father's laugh. My sisters at Christmas. Marcus before he became Marcus. Claire before the lies. Then I thought about the bedroom. The dinner table. The forged signature, the rain outside my apartment. No, I said. I miss who I thought they were. Natalie nodded. That makes sense. And that was it. No pressure to forgive. No lecture about family. No speech about blood. Just understanding. That night, after she left, I sat on the porch with Ranger. The air was warm, the street was quiet. My phone was silent. No missed calls. No guilt. No chaos. Just peace. And I realized something. My wife leaving me for my brother was not the end of my life. It was the end of my blindness. I had spent years confusing loyalty with endurance. I thought being a good son meant absorbing pain. I thought being a good brother meant giving endless chances. I thought being a good husband meant forgiving anything if someone cried hard enough. I was wrong. Loyalty without respect is just captivity. Forgiveness without accountability is permission. And family without love is just a group of people using the same last name. They came begging for my help 6 months after they betrayed me. But they didn't want me. They wanted my money. My silence. My signature. My old role. The fixer. The responsible one. The son who would clean up the mess. The husband who would take the blame. The brother who would step aside. That man is gone. They buried him the day they chose Marcus. I just finally stopped visiting the grave. I don't know what happened to Claire after the restitution order. I don't know where Marcus lives now. I don't know if my parents ever bought another house. I don't ask. I don't check. I don't look back. Because the best revenge was never destroying them. They did that themselves. The best revenge was building a life they could never enter. A quiet house. A loyal dog. A woman who tells the truth. A phone that doesn't ring with emergencies I didn't create. A name no one gets to forge again. And a door I never have to open unless I choose to. They wanted help. I gave them consequences. And for the first time in my life, I chose myself. I have never regretted it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.